Hello and welcome to Green Pass Gaming's Coffee Morning Podcast. I'm your host Flap, and today with us we have Luke Steele and Scott SX2. Good morning, gentlemen. How the devil are you two?
Morning,
Very well,
mates.
thank you.
Excellent. Well, what an exciting day to be a gamer, particularly perhaps an Xbox gamer specifically, as today is what many, probably particularly Xbox fans, are probably considering the big one in terms of game showcases, and now I'm of course referring to the Xbox Bethesda game showcase, and very excited for that. Lots and lots of fantastic YouTube podcasts going on with everyone's predictions, and of course myself, Luke and Scott, we are back later on today for the post-show podcast on Box and Burgers channel. I will probably leave a link for that down in the description below. I can't believe anyone listening to this wouldn't be aware of Box and Burgers' work, but we will be on his podcast later, perhaps running through some of our predictions and stuff. But it's very, very exciting at the moment. So for today's show, I thought we would probably just do kind of a recap of what we've had out of the Summer Games Fest so far, and obviously perhaps a little bit of what we're expecting later, but we have kind of done that quite a bit. But yeah, both Luke and Scott, guys, you've been real busy over the last few days on quite a few podcasts, most of them the Indie Gamer podcasts. But have you been finding it, chaps? Has it been kind of hard going? Have you enjoyed what you've seen so far?
Yeah, it's been. Probably speak for Scott as well. I think there's been a lot of good stuff shown. It's been a lot of fun doing those podcasts with Indy. Quite how he's able to do all of them is a mystery to me, because it's quite an inhuman effort to be attentive on a podcast for that long. But there we go. Yeah. No, it's been good. It's been, it's all kind of building to this one today in particular. I think that's where a lot of the big stuff is going to be shown. It's been a lot of fun, and there's been so many great things revealed and shown off further over the last few days. So I've had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Scott, you feel the same?
Yeah, I do, mate. It's been a lot of fun, and doing them with Indy and Luke and some of the guys Indy's had on the channel has sort of made it more enjoyable as well. It's good to be able to chat with people and have a laugh about things. I don't know if you tuned into the Guerrilla Collective yesterday, but we had a good old chuckle about the frog segment of the show, which is always always fun when you get those little segments. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. As Luke said, I don't know how he does it. I don't know any other channel that's covered quite as many live reaction shows as Indy has. So big credit to Indy for that. But as Luke said, yeah, obviously everything's kind of building up to the big show today, and the closer we get, the more excited I get. So really looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And even if you're a staunch, PlayStation fanboy, you're still going to have to be keeping one eye on today's show, aren't you? Because, like I say, it's quite a big deal in the world of gaming. And like I say, I'm really hoping Microsoft have got something to pull out the bag, and I'm sure they absolutely will. And like I say, we'll be discussing that after the show. And we've obviously got our predictions list. Let's just quickly flash that up on the screen.
We weren't doing too badly with that, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, I'm going to stand by a lot of this, to be honest. I still think Final Fantasy VII Remake may come to Xbox and straight into Game Pass. That's one that I think might happen. I know me and you were on that boat, Scott. But yeah, are we pretty happy with this? I can't really see anything that seems obviously wrong. And obviously, we've tried our best to avoid any leaks and spoilers or anything like that. But
yeah.
There's one big standout, Luke, I think, isn't there?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's the one you're thinking of, but it's the one I'm thinking of, which is the Kojima on Keeley has it. So that was a big surprise for me that he wasn't there. Yes. And it just really lends a lot to the fact that he's potentially going to be there today.
So, so in hindsight, where would you then place this Kojima?
I would, yeah. So if we're going back, playing it again now. So I would put it probably on the cusp of definitely. I'd put it between maybe and because I can never be 100% certain that he will actually show up there, but I'm a bit more confident. So if he does, that's going to be, I mean, that's going to be a great moment for Xbox, I think, in general. And if you're an Xbox gamer, whether you like Kojima or not, I think that's a great thing.
Absolutely.
That, you know, he'd be there.
Yeah.
And personally, it'd be a fantastic moment for me, because if he's making a rumored horror game, as seems to be all developers at the moment making some form of horror game, then even better, you know. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing if he's actually going to be there.
Well, like I say, you know, it's in hindsight, I don't think we've done too bad. So yeah, well, let's see. I mean, we'll perhaps take this with us on Box and Burgers channel later and just kind of see how we do. I might sort of, as it's playing through, I might try and tick them off, the ones that we got right and wrong. So that'd be pretty interesting to see. But fantastic. Well, what I thought we might do for today's show is, we'll start off by just having a quick chat around the particular showcases that have happened and our thoughts and feelings around them. But we can actually go through sort of some of the popular games that have kind of flagged up on our radar and stuff. And I've managed to download some of the VODs for those, and we can kind of talk over those as they're playing through. But what did we make of the actual summer showcase itself? Jeff Keighley's one. How did that leave us feeling? Was we kind of okay with it? Disappointed? Over the moon?
I think for me, it was. So I enjoyed it for the most part. I think the pacing was a little off, I found, in the show generally. I think the first hour was really strong, and then the second hour, particularly, and I think some people have thoughts on the ending bit, which I'll come to in a minute. But for me, the kind of hour 1 to about 1 hour 40 was pretty dull. But for the most part, I thought it was a good show, and there was a lot of good stuff shown there. I think the ending bit landed a bit flat for a couple of reasons, which was obviously the Last of Us stuff, and I think that was one because the big thing leaked before the show, which, you know, was probably really disappointing for everybody involved. So there was that, and then also, you know, having a 20 minutes dedicated to a series, effectively, in any context, irrespective of what series it is and whether you love it, is a little boring. If on a showcase, you know, you tend to want the next thing, you know, 5, 6, 7 minutes maybe max for one thing, and then move on. For me, you know, big Last of Us fan, so I loved kind of everything that they were talking about, but I can see why that, you know, kind of really left the show on a flat note for a lot of people. But I think he did, you know, Keighley did well, and he had some good stuff. So that was, I enjoyed it. Again, apart from that kind of 40 minutes after the first hour, which was just kind of like, okay, let's move on. You know, I think the problem was that a lot of the big games he'd front loaded. So, yes. And with all due respect to the things that were in the hour 40-minute mark, it was a lot of stuff I wasn't interested in. It seemingly a lot of people weren't interested in. So it was kind of like, well, where's the next thing you're going to be excited about? So it was decent. It was a decent show.
Yeah, it was okay-ish. I think that's probably how I'd probably pitch it as well. You know, again, I'm a big Last of Us fan. I absolutely adore that game, and I'm part of the problem because I'll probably will be one of the ones that rebuy it, if I'm completely honest. But we'll come on to that.
Absolutely.
Now we'll come on to that a little bit later, because there's a little bit of controversy around it, and obviously there's 2 different editions, and the digital deluxe edition has some very peculiar. What should we say?
I saw that. Yeah,
we'll come on to that later if we can, Scott. But what was your general overall impressions of the Jeff Keighley show?
Yeah, it's difficult because I'm kind of where Luke is, but maybe a little bit more down on it. I thought it was okay at best. I do agree that it started off a lot stronger than it finished. I think it had a couple of problems. First of all, I think Keighley just spoke about the show too much before the show, in terms of this is going to be there, which, you know, nothing that he said was earth-shattering, but, you know, it would have been nice just to let us find out during the show. I thought the presentation, the pacing was off, as Luke mentioned. You know, a couple of the segments, particularly the Last of Us and the Call of Duty segments, I think just lasted way too long. Some of the interviews, shall we say, I just didn't think really added anything in particular to the overall show. And the biggest problem I think ultimately was just a lot of the stuff that he showed just didn't look good, I think, in a lot of cases. And that's not Jeff's fault. He can only work with what he's given by developers. But I think there was a number of things that just fell flat completely, you know. Like, I think the big deal was made out of Stormgate, because obviously that's a new RTS from the ex-Blizzard developers. But the CG trailer was a bit naff. The
They didn't really
interview
have much
afterwards
to bring,
was...
did they?
Yeah, and
screenshots.
Yeah.
But like earlier in the show, which game was it? Where the Aliens game, you know, where it was here's a CG trailer, and then literally 2.5 seconds of some top-down sort of maybe gameplay footage. That's not Jeff's fault, obviously, but I just felt there was just not that much excitement. There was a lot of CG, you know, and Xbox have been criticized for that quite rightly in the past. I felt there was a lot of CG. Unfortunately, though, I think the CG that was shown a lot of kids, it just wasn't particularly good either. You know, a nice, good, flashy CG trailer I can get away with, but if it's bad CG, then you know that's
No
even
excuses.
worse. Yeah, and then I won't spend too much time talking about it, but obviously the ending with The Last of Us, obviously it didn't help that it leaked, but I don't think even if it hadn't leaked, that was a particularly strong way to end the show. You know, people criticize people for showing off CG trailers. Well, they came with a picture of a concept art of the multiplayer game that I don't think really added anything to that conversation. And I know people are excited for that because people were really enjoyed Factions. But it was just a lot of chatter about the TV show. Troy Baker came on again. And obviously the big reveal as part of it leaked. It was just too long. You know, Neil Druckmann dropped in there, you know, we've sold 10 million copies. And I was like, I just don't think it ended particularly strong. And I must say that from a position as someone who's not, I've not played The Last of Us, shock horror. But it's, so obviously I don't have a strong affiliation with that franchise as you guys might.
You'll get
when it comes to PC, yeah, exactly.
True.
Whenever it eventually releases on PC, but and then I'll not go into it too much. But then the stuff that's came out afterwards, Flap, you know, the price tag, the fact that it's less of a game, it doesn't include the multiplayer, but it's more expensive. The stuff that comes with the editions, I don't know. I didn't think it was particularly strong. Sean at the end, personally.
Let's go there now, so we don't have to do it later, I guess. And I've got to be honest, The Last of Us Part 1 is one of the best games I've ever played. One of them. I absolutely love the first half of Part 2 as well. I'm excited for it. And to be honest, I got it part of the PS5, PS Plus collection. It's in there, the remake. So I've never actually paid for The Last of Us Part 1. So that's why I'm probably not so shy probably paying for it again, I guess, on some level. But there is a strange thing here. So the standard edition is $70, £70, which in itself is, you know, that's raised some eyebrows. You know, obviously a remake of a game that everyone's played, looks a bit better. I wouldn't say it's earth-shatteringly better, but it looks a bit better. So, you know, full price on that. But there's a digital deluxe edition for $80. And in this, you get increased crafting speed skill, you get increased healing speed, you get a 9mm reload speed, a rifle clip capacity upgrade, explosive arrows gameplay modifier, a speed run mode, weapon skins. It's like, wow, you're paying to... sort of, this is kind of different. I'm not aware of this happening before, where actually, you know, you buy the digitally deluxe version and actually crafting is a lot quicker, and they sort of things happen a lot quicker in the game. I don't know how much faster. I mean, it just says increased crafting speed. I don't know if that's like 50% or 5%, but what's your take on that, Luke? It's a bit odd, isn't it?
To some extent. I mean, I don't know why you'd buy the digital deluxe edition. I don't know why you'd spend the $10 extra, because I don't think really that they're giving you much more, if you know what I mean. Like, it's just kind of moderate, perhaps minor buffs to your character in the game. So it is a bit bizarre. And then there's weapon skins. I mean, the addition, I guess, would make more sense if they still had the original factions in the game, and what they were giving you were things like cosmetics for your characters there. But of course, that it isn't. So it's quite weird. I mean, the $70 price tag. Look, I mean, I'm part of the Nintendo problem anyway with stuff like this, but I think this is a lot more justified because first of all, there are so many ways that if you just want to play the first game, you can go and play it. There's been multiple releases. It's dirt cheap. You can get it for free on multiple things, and you don't have to go out and it's not as if this is locked away in some vault somewhere and there's no other way to play it than the remake that they're going to make. So whether you then want to pay that price is, I suppose, a testament to how big of a fan you are, / if you haven't played the game before, because I think, obviously part of the rationale for this is to get people into the franchise who, may interface with the TV show or may be interested in that. And there's a product then for them, which is very modern, rather than playing a 10-year-old game or whatever, even though it's remastered on PS4. I think the upgrade that they've done is really significant, and there's a lot of side-by-side shots of various scenes, and the upgrade is pretty palpable on those. It's clear that they've just remade this in the Last of Us 2 engine, essentially. Yeah. But the interesting thing about all the comparisons are that they're all being compared against pre-rendered cutscenes. So all of the cutscenes on the PS3 and PS4 versions were pre-rendered offline. And what they're now showing is, real-time 60 FPS, in engine. So I think that makes it more impressive, if that makes any sense, because it's not going against what the gameplay was of the original Last of Us, or even the version on the PS4, which essentially was just a PS3 version but up-resed with a higher frame rate. So I think it looks pretty wonderful in terms of a remake project. But the big difference as well with this remake is that it's not like RE2 or anything. You didn't need to go back and remake all the gameplay necessarily, because it's still a pretty modern game. So the main upgrade was going to be that it was going to be visually more impressive and 60 FPS. And I think they'll introduce some of the mechanics of 2 into the first part. So going prone and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure they will put in here. But I mean, I totally get Scott's kind of rationale. It feels a bit flat, especially if you're not a fan or you've never played it. Yeah, it's kind of like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
and then
even ignoring the subjective nature of whether you like the game or not, I just think the overall presentation of that particular segment, I think you echoed that, to be fair, was just not particularly good. I think the trailer could have done with maybe a bit more action. As well. Sure. Cut out the bit about the concept art, cut out the bit about, I mean, fair enough, include the TV show, because they're obviously keen to push the TV show, and this game is going to be kind of alongside that in some capacity. So I didn't necessarily mind a bit about the TV show, but cut the bit about the concept art, cut the bit about whatever Neil Druckmann's working on next, have maybe just a little bit more in the trailer, and then I think it works a little better. Whether you like the game or not, I think you can appreciate it. But
yeah, I mean, I think that's true. On the concept art, I'm kind of in two minds about that, because I do agree on the one hand with you that it's a bit crap when you're like, yes, we're still working on this multiplayer thing. Here's a little tease of what it is, but the tease is just a piece of concept art. Like, even if it was multiple pieces of concept art, that might be more interesting. But it was just one screenshot. On the other hand, I'm actually really excited about what they're making on that, because they've been talking about this kind of growing arms and legs for a couple of years, and Factions was great, but it was just a team based 5v5. Essentially in the Last of Us maps, and I don't know what they're working on specifically, but when they were talking about, well, it's a new place, it's there's new characters, new stories, and then the concept art made it look pretty large scale. So in my head, I'm thinking of something like The Division, but in the Last of Us universe. And
Yeah.
as much as I'm not a huge fan of multiplayer games, I'm absolutely all into that concept, like super into that concept. So I just wish that they'd have maybe talked about that, confirmed quite what it is, what they're looking to do, rather than speaking a bit, broadly about it. And then the concept art doesn't give you too much to go on other than, okay, big area, multiple players, because to me it seems like it's not Factions 2 anymore. It isn't a Factions. Maybe there's a Factions mode, but that's not what it is now. So I'm interested to see, but equally, as you say, it's a bit disappointing when they come and they go, well, here's one concept art, also we're not going to talk about it till next year, so see you in a bit. And I think, to be fair, if Xbox had done that, they would have been pilloried about something like that. So
that's true. Yeah, that's fair. But what worried me is how they kept going about how massive this open world is, and I'm thinking this just sounds like an MMO at this point. Then it seems a bit kind of I don't know.
I mean, like I said, if they're doing a Division or Destiny style Last of Us, that's a really massive project. That's a really big project, and that's really exciting. People have been crying out for PlayStation to make more multiplayer games, and something like that is an extension of that world, but done in a Naughty Dog way. I think that's really exciting, but we need to see it,
absolutely.
And
well, let's get into the sort of the meat and bones of this then, because let's talk about some games and games other than The Last of Us, because we're in danger of doing exactly what Jeff Keighley showed it, and probably going on about The Last of Us probably more than it deserves from what we've seen so far, in all honesty. But let's put this one on for you, Luke. This really excited me.
Let's have a look. Oh yeah, good stuff. Yeah, I mean, this is this Callisto Protocol. It's it's probably, with the exception of God of War, presuming that's still coming out this year, it's probably my most anticipated game.
Yes.
Did you know that they call
so I just think this just looks. I mean, it's just Dead Space 4. That's all it is. But there's nothing wrong with saying that. That's not meant in a critique-like fashion. I think they've just again they've nailed the survival horror, space horror feel. And they've added some new things as well. I think the character can dodge now, which was really cool, a little bit different. But they've also brought over a lot of the mechanics from Dead Space. The dismemberment, which is really cool, and then the kind of grab gun, which I really loved as well. And the demo they showed off at Summer Games Fest was really cool. And I think it looks visually super impressive as well. But you can tell that there's still quite a bit polished to go, if that makes any sense. So.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what the final product looks like. I absolutely cannot wait for this.
I'm guilty of not really playing Dead Space first time around, but I am aware. I think, didn't the main protagonist have like lights up their spine to sort of indicate how their health level or whatever? So I've noticed on the back of their neck is like that green bar.
Yeah, similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, right.
Yeah.
There's even nods to that kind of thing, isn't there?
Yeah, and it makes it's great that they do that, because Glenn Schofield has always been a proponent of minimal HUD.
Yes.
Because minimal HUD makes you more immersed, and so that's why in the original Dead Space they built the health indicators onto the back of Isaac's suit, and they're doing exactly the same here with Jacob, which is the protagonist here. So and things like ammo indicators, they're all on the guns.
Yep.
So you're not looking at the right side of the screen or whatever to see what's happening there. So
you know what does that the best? VR games, because you can't really have a HUD in VR games. So something like Half-Life Alyx, all of the information is on your wrists or on the gun. It's fantastic. I love how they do that. And like you say, to get that full immersion even in a flat game, It's fantastic when they do that. Scott, what's your anticipation for Callisto Protocol? Does this excite you?
Yeah, I'm not a particularly big fan of that genre, and if I'm being honest, I feel already a bit burnt out on the genre from the past few days.
Yeah, brace yourself.
Yeah, because it was almost overwhelming. It was just quite. I know this happens where like developers, an idea kind of spawns at a similar time, and then 3 or 4 years later, everyone's kind of done something with that concept. But I thought this looked great. It looked bloody gruesome. Some of the death animations looked pretty grim, to be honest. I'm not someone who's played Dead Space. I was holding out. I was gonna. I'm disappointing Luke so much today already. I was gonna play Dead Space when it came on the Game Pass of EA Play, but it was around the time that I think they announced the remake. So I'm probably just going to wait for that to come out. But I am excited for this. I think it looks pretty good. Grim, but good.
Graphically, it looks pretty cool as well, doesn't it? But
yeah.
Like you say,
I think just some of the combat stuff that they showed was pretty good. Like you mentioned, like the grav gun and just how you could use that. The one thing that really stood out to me was kind of like the impact of things, like the pistol that he was using. It had a lot of impact through the recoil and just how it's good. Like they were able to convey that through a trailer without actually playing the game. And when he was stomping on the enemy as well, like you really felt the impact of those, which
lifted from
again.
Space again.
But getting that through on just a trailer without playing the game is, I think, pretty good, and hopefully is a good sign for the actual game itself.
This one's firmly on the radar, and it's one of my highlights actually. I mean, it was already on our radar, but after seeing this, it's like, oh yeah, all right, I can officially get excited about this now. Then
absolutely,
it's really cool. It's pretty brutal, isn't it?
This ending, man.
Again, the death animations. Dead Space was the same. It had some absolutely brutal death animations. There's one in particular in the second game, which is just horrific, absolutely horrific. They're just, it's clearly heavily inspired by what Schofield's made before, and that's a great thing, I think.
Well, thankfully, I've marked this video as not for children on YouTube, so we shouldn't fall foul of anything like that with any luck. So that's fantastic. So let's move on to a different one. What else stood out for you game wise? Because the chances are I've got it downloaded, the trailer. So anything else that kind of piqued everyone's interest?
Maybe we should go to the Plucky Squire next, Flap. I think you've got that one loaded, because I think this was kind of like the highlight of probably the whole week so far for me.
Yes, me too.
In terms of, I should probably cover that. In terms of new things that we were seeing, I know there are some things that we saw for maybe second or third time, but this looked excellent. This was. Yeah, it just looked fantastic.
It's phenomenal, isn't it? That bit where it jumps off the page into the 3D world, it's like, oh my god. Because I just assumed the game was going to be this.
Yeah.
And to be honest, even if it was, that looks pretty bloody cool. But when he moved into the real world, it's like, holy crap.
Yeah. And it was a genuine surprise, wasn't it? Like, it was like, oh, wow, when that transition happened. Yeah. The art style's fantastic. This is obviously from the Devolver show, which I think was the best show we've had so far. This is the highlight for me. And a lot of people, I've seen a similar sentiment. Like, a lot of people are raving about this game. So
makes me wonder if there's going to be a co-op element, a little bit like what was the EA one that came out not so long ago? I can't remember what it was called.
Unraveled?
No.
It Takes Two.
It Takes Two, sorry. Yeah, it makes me wonder if it's going to be an element like that, because at the end there seems to be 3 characters that pops up, so it makes me wonder if it could be a co-op. But is this... Because I know it's definitely coming to Steam. Do we know if this is coming to consoles at all?
I think I think they flashed that up at the end. Yeah.
It's next gen only, but also on Switch. Weirdly enough, I think from what I remember, we'll probably see it at the end of the trailer. But definitely show the consoles at the end.
Next gen and Switch.
It's a bit of an oxymoron, that. Yeah, no, I thought it looked amazing. I was just blown away when I saw it live, particularly as you said, when the transition's made to the 3D world, and then it, there's stuff like this, the 2D sprites along the mug and the bucket, and it's just amazing. And I had a look actually, and
there we go. Series XS, PS5,
Oh, yes,
Switch, and
Switch.
PC.
Yeah.
God's sake, Switch. And then I noticed afterwards. So it's by a new studio called All Possible Futures, and the name rang a bell because I'd actually seen a few days prior that it was founded by someone called James Turner, who
the Games Freak guy.
Yeah, the Game Freak. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so he was the first Western artist on the Pokemon games. So I think he was art director of Sword and Shield, and he, designed Pokemon. In fact, I think he was famous for designing the ice cream Pokemon, if I remember rightly.
All right.
He's got, and if you look at the art in the game, abstracts, the kind of this bit here, it's not too dissimilar from some of the designs you might see on human characters on Pokemon games, I think he's really made or helped make an incredible looking game. We'll see how it is when it releases, but it's just so creative and kind of zany and colourful. I just think it looks great.
Yeah, I'm very excited. To be honest, for me, and I think perhaps a lot of people, this is the game that's really piqued my interest the most so far out of all of them, if I'm honest. I really like the look of that one. Right, let me throw another one in the mix. Let's see what we make of this. I know, Luke, you've already played this. I've already played this. While we're on the Devolver thing.
Ah, yes.
Cult of the Lamb.
Yeah.
So there's a demo live on Steam as we speak. It's quite a short demo, isn't it? But
yes, yeah, it is.
Is this your sort of thing, Scott?
I'm getting. I might be completely wrong here, Luke. Tell me, there was a game that was released earlier this year that it's reminding me of that we were quite excited for, but was a bit of a letdown. I think you were also excited for it. It was, the shape-shifting one from the... Was it the guys who make Guacamelee?
Oh, Nobody Saves the World.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm getting sort of vibes of that from the trailer that I'm seeing. Are there any similarities there?
I think in terms of, top-down 2D with, melee combat, yes, in that sense. Obviously, Nobody Saves the World had that kind of unique mechanic, didn't it, about, let's just say, the transmog stuff.
Yeah.
This is just, if you go and play the demo, I don't know what you think, Flat, but it's really satisfying combat. I found it really engaging.
I like the
it's
dash
not
mechanic.
It's complex.
It's really good because they sort of glow when they're about to make their move, don't they? So you get it's not massively complicated, but it's like you say, it's enjoyable to play.
Yeah, it's a lot more satisfying than Nobody Saves the World was, which I just didn't find engaging at all. And also,
that was kind of my concern, Luke, is I was really excited for that game, but it really just didn't grab me the way I hoped in the end. Exactly. So it's really good to hear that about the combat for this.
Yeah, so it's that, and then also the way that this pops off your screen when you play it is pretty amazing. Like the contrast in colors and the way that they've done kind of like, because it's 2D, but it's kind of like superimposed over other 2D, so it kind of looks like it has layers. I can't really describe it very well, but when you see it, when you play it, you'll see what I mean. And it just runs like a charm. And then I think in the main game as well, there's kind of this like. So it's kind of like a dungeon crawler, procedurally generated / almost like an Animal Crossing base building element as well.
Yes,
so
yes.
it's got that kind of combination, and it just looks. And now I know it plays super well. It's super polished already. So I absolutely loved this before I played the demo, and I love it even more now that I have played the demo. It's firmly on the buy list when it comes out for me.
Well, we're not far off.
Did we get a release date?
Yeah, 11th of August this year.
Oh, nice. Yeah, very nice.
So yeah, not far out at all. Again, I'm not sure if this is coming to all of the platforms. I don't know if it flashed up on the screen. Obviously, Steam first and foremost, but I'd be surprised if it doesn't appear on all of the others. Yeah. So excellent. Let's throw another one in.
It's on everything. Just PS4,
okay.
PS5, Xbox One, Series X, Switch, and PC.
Okay, I'm gonna pick one kind of at random. Let's go for this actually. This looks beautiful.
I'll let Luke take this one.
Yeah, well, he needs to airlift in India, I think, for this one. He's very enamored by this. But yeah, this is Planet of Lana, which it's been shown off a few times, but I think this time around, it's the first time we've seen kind of more extended gameplay and a bit more of how the game plays. Yeah, it just, I mean, it's a beautiful looking game. You know, it's seems to be, it reminds me of a sort of, you know, Limbo Inside sort of style.
Yeah, a colourful version.
Colourful version, yeah, a bit more upbeat than those games. That's what it reminds me of, and I think, you know, the puzzle elements look engaging and interesting. This really reminded me of Limbo. This particular bit, that
that bit,
spider horrid thing on the floor. So yeah, it looks really great. I think this is coming to everything as well, or is actually no?
It's just Xbox
it's
and
just
PC.
Xbox
This one,
PC, isn't it? Yeah.
I think that only was announced sort of this week, wasn't it? Because is it come to Game Pass as well, or did I make that bit up?
I don't know actually. Yeah. I don't know.
I think it might be. It might just be Xbox.
Yeah.
But I think that maybe I might be getting that mixed up. So.
Yeah. So, and this, it just looks great. Also, my wife was there when they kind of unveiled the creature for the first time, and she said she would die for it. So, you know, it's one of those that I think can lock a lot of people in just because it's, you know, quite adorable in that sense. Yeah.
I'm getting sort of Kenner vibes from the what are they called, the Rot.
The Rot, yeah.
From that little cat-like thing. So
it looks great. I think this is this year as well. But I can't remember when, if they've even announced.
It just says release date 2022. But I like the orchestral music as well. It's got quite a big orchestral score running along in the background, which just lifts the whole thing.
I don't know why, but the main theme reminds me of the Starfield main theme. So when I hear it, if you go and listen to the Starfield theme, it sounds quite similar actually. So maybe it's a prequel, but no, it looks great.
It does look like it's Xbox exclusive, obviously PC as well. So yeah, it looks like they've nabbed that one. So like you say, perhaps we might find out a little bit more about that, particularly Game Pass later on today. Who knows? Interesting. Excellent. Is there anything else that you guys want to raise next, video-wise, and games that have kind of stood out? Is there anything that's
did you load the Cuphead video out of interest, Flap?
Did I load the Cuphead?
There you go.
Whoever's playing this is a fucking god. I can only obviously imagine.
I think I said that during we were watching it live, and I said that during. I said, whoever's playing this is an absolute beast at this game, because he didn't. Didn't miss a beat. Yeah.
Didn't take a hit.
This looks excellent though, man. This looks so good. It's only $8 for this DLC as well, man, which is. It boggles my mind how they've spent so much time on this game and it's so damn cheap. This looks excellent. Obviously, it's more of the same, but just that's not a bad thing. That's exactly what you want from Cuphead.
Oh, absolutely. And to be honest, this is apparently supposed to be quite a substantial DLC. It's almost kind of Cuphead 2, I think, or 1.5 perhaps on some level. Wow, that's just fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, the one thing that I will never stop saying until it comes, I just really want them to add online co-op to this game. I think it's the only thing that this game is missing, is just the ability to play with your friends online.
Wow.
I couldn't understand why they didn't add it, but and maybe they're concerned about latency impacting sort of the timing aspect of it.
Yeah, imagine that.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing it's really missing. But otherwise, this looks fantastic, and it's coming out the end of this month, June 30th, I think it is. yeah, really, really looking forward to this.
How far did you get into the original?
Oh, I can't remember to be honest. It was difficult actually because it was one that I played with my son, and obviously it's not an easy game for a child.
No.
So we got stuck. Admittedly, I didn't end up completing it because we got a bit stuck. But like I say, it's a game that I really want to play with a friend. Obviously, it's a co-op game. It's it's got Mugman and Cuphead, so it is designed to be played multiplayer. So just the fact that it lacks that online co-op really is just one little thing that's letting it down. But otherwise, I'm still going to pick it up. I'm really, really excited for it. It just looks excellent.
I think it's got a new female character called Chalice or something like that.
Miss Chalice, yeah.
That's it. Yeah, that's really cool.
That was her that they were playing as on the footage there. So
how far did you get, Luke? Was this one you put a lot of time into, or?
I think it's been so long since the bloody first game came out. I can't actually remember, but I remember getting a pretty substantial way through it, and I think I ended up stuck on something invariably, and then put it down and didn't go back. But then I seem to have bought this everywhere. So I've got it on PC, I've got it on Switch, I've got it on Xbox. So I'm looking forward to this. I think it'll be a really good deal for $8. A really good deal. But I also suspect it'll probably be harder than the base game again. So it's going to be interesting.
I think I got as far as there's like a bee in a hive that you start going up as an end of level boss. I think I got as far as that, and like you say, I think something else came along at the time. I can't remember what it was now, but and I never really.
It was like
went
5
back.
years, wasn't it? Was it 2017 the original game? So it's been a long time.
Yeah, but,
been a long time.
Fantastic. Okay, doke. Luke, is there anything, any particular games that stood out for you that I might have downloaded?
I might look at Scott's list actually. If you got the stuff from his.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned one earlier, didn't you? Let's put this.
I did mention one. Yeah, we'll put this one on, which was technically before SGF.
Yeah,
show,
not necessarily part of. Yeah, exactly. It wasn't part of the main show, was it? But.
Yeah,
this was part of Summer Game Fest, though, wasn't it?
Yes,
Because they even had the
was.
Summer Game Fest. Yeah.
Branding on it. Yeah. So this is Resident Evil 4 remake, which I was actually shocked to see here. I don't think we'd see it this year, or at least not at this period. And I'm just mega super excited for it because their remakes have been amazing. Even 3, which was for some people a bit disappointing. I absolutely loved it. I just think this is awesome, and I like that they're taking it a bit. They said that they're changing it. The story's going to be changed. They're going to take it in a slightly different direction, but they're going to try and retain the kind of spirit of the original. And I know for some people that's maybe somewhat alarming because a lot of people, including myself, hold RE4 in particular reverence in terms of its story and its kind of atmosphere and all of that sort of stuff. But I'm happy that they're confident enough to change this a bit and mix it up. I just can't wait for it. Just can't wait.
Like I say, we did.
Interesting.
I did mention that there's already a VR version of Resident Evil 4, so obviously makes me wonder if they might be bringing a VR version of this to PSVR 2, potentially. Don't know, that would be pretty damn scary.
I think they said that.
Yeah,
they said that in the trailer.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't pick up on that. Oh, wow.
Yeah, it said VR content in development for PSVR 2.
Oh, it was a very VR-heavy showcase, wasn't it? So, yeah, I guess that doesn't surprise me, actually, thinking about it.
Because it had the RE Village VR experience was coming too, I think.
Now, that already exists on some level. Someone on Steam has managed to already do that on some... I don't think it's the complete game, but... my God, I need to give that a go because I've seen on YouTube VR clips of Madame. Oh God, what's her name? the big
Lady Dimitrescu.
Yeah, Dimitrescu. She, my God, is that scary? And particularly when her daughters kind of jab those hooks into your feet and drag you along in VR.
Yeah.
Oh my God, imagine that! But fantastic.
Yeah, there's some weird sort of fetish things going on
Yes,
with her and VR that it's a little unsettling. That aside to that, the one thing that really stood out about this trailer, it's a little thing, but they opened with the date. I don't think I've ever seen a trailer open with the date, which I thought was
that's a bold
interesting.
statement. Very bold statement. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's just do a quick shout out to the chat. BMG's in the chat. Thank you for being here. Parksy, Stubbs, Pyro, Mecha Robots, Ash Reviews Games. Thank you for being here. Obviously, UK Desirus, Rip Snorter, Darren, Parksy. I don't know if I said Pyro in, but I'm saying it again if I didn't. Thank you all for being here. Fantastic. We're having a great session here. Mambo Jazz. Just keep scrolling up. I think Miseko was in here earlier. Thank you everyone for being here. Hope you're enjoying this. Like I say, it's all very well enjoying these showcases, but I think you mentioned it yesterday, Luke, on the Future Game Show. It's like pow, 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 pow. Just stuff getting thrown into your eyes one after the other, and you don't really have time to sort of think about it and digest it. I think even Stubbs was saying that he'd missed a few, and it's kind of nice to catch up on certain things. So that's what this show's kind of all about. So I hope you're enjoying it. Right, I'm going to throw one in the mix now. I've got one for you, and this excites me. I really like the look of this. I'll be interested to see what you guys make of it. Let's go with this. Just graphically, I think it's phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Which was this? Witchfire.
Witchfire.
Yeah, this was one of the standouts for me from this, like things that I hadn't actually seen before personally. I don't think this is the first time it was shown, but it's the first time I'd seen it. But yeah, I really like the look of this.
This looks bloody brilliant. Now I'm conscious there isn't a HUD or anything, so I don't know. This is all clearly in engine, but yeah.
I think it's quite clearly gameplay though, without the HUDs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been really excited for this. It's been in development for a long time, and I remember when it was initially revealed, it looked very similar to this. But I think at the time it was probably not gameplay. It was kind of it looked first-person gameplay, but it was a bit too smooth in some of its transitions. So I think they were saying this is more a proof of concept. Killzone 2 came to mind. So. But it's been on my radar for ages and ages, and it's been silent for a long time, which was a bit of a recurring theme with another game we might talk about, which Scott you put on your list, and it's actually by the developers that made The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. So visually, I think they can absolutely live up to this in a final product, because if you play The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, that's still a really good looking game today. But also it's something very different from The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, which is just a narrative first person adventure puzzle game essentially. So I remember when this was revealed, they did a kind of that HUDless reveal again, and it was just first person movement, and then when they brought up the gun, I was really surprised, because I was like, oh, okay, so they're making a first-person shooter. And I think some of the developers of this were at People Can Fly, so obviously Bulletstorm fame, etc. And you can kind of see some of that influence kind of, popping through on this gameplay. But it just looks amazing. It looks basically like a dark fantasy Doom to me, modern day Doom, with powers. And I'm absolutely 100% all for this.
Yeah. Can I just say one thing that I loved about this trailer, which you don't see in games very often, was the revolver action. I love the revolver animation. When he's popping it with the other hand. This is actually probably arguably my highlight of the Summer Game Fest show. I thought this looked excellent. Just a really good trailer as well. Lots of gameplay. I like the soundtrack. It was fast paced. They showed off a lot of different guns, different abilities. Yeah, really, really good.
Yeah.
Is this coming to console, Luke, out of interest? Because I know this should have come, it was come to early access on PC. Do you know if it's coming to console or release date or anything for this?
I don't. So I don't think any console version's announced at the minute. I'm sure it will. But at the minute, I think it's just PC, and they're not giving any firm release date. It really has been in development for a long time. So I think there's probably been some trouble with it to some extent, but it looks like they've at least got nailed down, the core conceit and gameplay loop and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm really excited for it, and I'll probably go and get the early access, to be honest, because I'd like to see what it's like, and then I'll report back.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing from you on that. I think the other game that Luke was probably on about from a list was the other game Routine by any chance, Luke?
It was.
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
Let me get that on the screen, because that was probably that was certainly in my top 5 of ones that was just like, whoa, okay. Why do I not seem to have that? Oh, that's so annoying. Let's have a look. I must have it. Oh, I don't seem to have that. I might see if I can download it in the background if I can. But yeah, that was bloody brilliant. I swear to God I downloaded that. It doesn't seem to be here. So,
should we maybe try Shredder's Revenge while you try to download that? Maybe I don't know. I know we've seen that a lot, so I don't know if there's much to say about it. But I did like this trailer.
Yeah, this is just brilliant. I mean, this is just so good. And coming to Game Pass as well, which is amazing. And
imminent.
6-player.
16th of June.
6-player, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
4 days.
6-player online co-op. Yeah. I could just close my eyes when I watch this trailer. Obviously, I wouldn't be watching it anymore, but I just love listening to this trailer.
Yeah.
Like, the soundtrack for this game is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah, and as I say, a week away on Game Pass, a new character revealed, 6-player online co-op. It's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun indeed.
Yeah. There's not really much else to say on it other than I just can't wait to play it now. I think, it just
looks like absolute chaos when the 6 players on screen.
Yeah.
It looks so chaotic in a fun way, obviously. I think that adds to it. So yeah, Stubbs is excited for Shredder's Revenge as well. I know he's got himself a little bit of an online crew ready to go for that game coming out. Yeah, so I think the release date was like the big reveal for this as well, wasn't it? A week away, coming to Game Pass. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Okay, doke. Let's go for another one. Let's just quickly remove this. So let's go for something less. Now, this will be an interesting one. Let's see what you guys make of this. I think I know.
Someone once said.
Oh God, yeah. Okay.
Now, I like Layers of Fear. I know you probably don't. I like the first one. Wasn't so keen on the second one.
Does this not make you happy though, Luke, that Bloober came with Layers of Fear and Silent Hill?
And not Silent Hill.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, my feelings on Bloober are well known, but I didn't know what to think of this trailer. On the one hand, I think they said they're making this in UE5.
Yes.
So, and I think from what I saw afterwards, this is actually some sort of weird remake of the first and second games, but rejigged.
Okay.
That's what I read. So it's not a sequel to the second Layers of Fear. It's more like a reboot / remake of the first two. No idea how this will play out, in person, so to speak, or whether it'll be any good. The problem I have with Blue's game, as I've always said, is the writing. I just think that writing's atrocious. Like, I think it's really bad, and I don't know if I think I'm. They're supposed to be. The rumor is they're remaking Silent Hill 2. If they're doing that, I don't necessarily mind, because I think what they are good at is art direction and visuals, and they can make really good looking games. And I think if you take Silent Hill 2 and remake that, it could look amazing, and if you nail the atmosphere, obviously the art direction is still there from Junji Ito, etc. So if they do that, that's fine. If they start messing about with Silent Hill 2's writing, we're going to have real problems because it doesn't need any rewriting. It's probably one of the best written games there's ever been. You just need to tell the same story. It's not an RE4 situation, RE2 situation where you can kind of rejig the story, rewrite the dialogue, because it's etc. etc. Fundamental Silent Hill 2 is the writing, and that's where I'm afraid of. But let's see what that project looks like.
I don't think they have the balls, Luke. To be honest, I think it's
shocked
too.
If they did.
Yeah, I think this is just going to be. It would if obviously it's not even bloody announced yet, but I think
if it
that's a game that they cannot touch. They couldn't do, like you say, they couldn't do the RE2, the Final Fantasy 7 remake things. Like they would have to stick very, very faithfully to the original source material. I think for that, because I think just in general, there's that your sentiment is one that I've seen shared by a lot of people, which is an element of nervousness, a hesitation towards Bloober doing something related to Silent Hill, and I think they're probably conscious of that, and they know the backlash would be pretty heavy if they were to mess with it too much.
And that's the thing, though, isn't it? Because obviously, Bloober doing their own games is fine because you can love it and hate it and stuff. But if Bloober are doing something that's a beloved franchise that has a lot of expectations, and not just expectations that that they have to meet a certain standard, but one that has been so long in being announced and coming, that the anticipation for it's palpable. Not only have they got to make it a good Silent Hill game, they've got to make it the first one for a decade almost. You know what I mean? That's a massive ask for a studio that it doesn't really have the pedigree that has proven that they can deliver. Like I say, I like the Layers of Fears games. I think they're good for what they are. But like you say, entrusting that franchise to them is a big ask. I think you're right, Luke.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's part of the big disappointment about the rumors about Silent Hill generally, is that, because the franchise has been dormant for so long and it really needs, a proper kick up the arse, and it needs a custodian that understands it a lot. And I just don't think that Bloober really fundamentally get. Like they're nobody's choice to make a Silent Hill game at all, and I think people are willing to give them the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, if you're remaking a game, that's okay, if you treat it with a certain reverence. I would never ever want Bloober to make. The big fear was that they were going to make a new Silent Hill project, because they've not shown anything in their writing to suggest that they would understand how to write a Silent Hill game with a nuance. The problem that Bloober have is that their writing is just all over the place. Themes are often all over the place.
Very hard to follow. I'll give you that.
Yeah, hard to follow. Kind of weak in terms of some of the things that they try and give commentary on socially. Sometimes really bizarre takes on things socially in terms of how they present them. So I just don't think it would work. But let's see. I mean, this game, I think if it looks like it does in the trailer, looks incredible. So I think that's cool. And, as you say, I think the Layers of Fear games are fine for what they are. You can find enjoyment of them. But this game doesn't particularly excite me. But let's see. What I will say is I think that they've been improving each game that they've released. So I think the medium was okay. It wasn't amazing. I thought the writing again was pretty shambolic. But mechanically, I thought it was interesting and certainly creative. So let's see what they do with this.
Yeah, no, interesting. No Xbox One or PS4 by the looks of it. So this could be next gen or now.
We're starting to see that now, aren't we? We're starting to see more and more games.
Yeah, thank God.
Just be that current gen only. Yeah, I appreciate that personally, but I also understand why people would be disappointed. It's still bloody hard to get a hold of those consoles.
Right, bear with me. I'm going to try something now. Let's try sharing this. Right.
Yeah. So this is routine. So this is interesting because this game was first revealed a decade ago.
Yep.
I think, and yeah, I think it was a bit of a shock for people that it actually showed up.
I audibly gasped when the name came up, which is the only game so far of any of these showcase, apart from RE4 Remake, which has genuinely surprised me. Because I remember following this game for years when it was announced in 2012, and seeing more footage and being really excited for it at the time. It just went dark. I mean, just completely fell off the face of the earth, and so I'd almost put it to the back of my head in terms of it existing. I'd kind of forgotten about it. So when they revealed this, I was interested anyway when they were just before the name came up, because it genuinely looks pretty terrifying. Visually looks amazing, and right up my alley in terms of being a horror game, space horror, haha. It looks awesome, but I was just so surprised. And I think the developers did a quite interesting blog post afterwards, and they were saying basically that it took them about 5 years to make the game from 2012, and they got to a point where just as they were coming up to release, they were finding more and more things that they hated about their own game. They just didn't like a load of stuff. Yeah, they just didn't like it, and they basically just said, okay, well, we were running out of money as well. We had to, they were doing it part-time because it's not a big team. It's like a couple of devs.
Who's the developer, Luke?
I can't even remember their name, but it's only a really small studio. But I'm talking 3, 4, 5 people.
Oh, wow.
They were coming up, and then they just decided not to release it. And luckily for them, Raw Fury, who are the publisher, they basically said, what's happening? Raw Fury weren't the publisher initially. It was going to be self-published, but they took an interest in it and gave them the resource to then go back and kind of retool the game to what we see now, essentially. And they've been very transparent. They're saying we're not making the same mistake as before. We're not committing to a release date or anything like that. But we're happier with where the game is, and we'll release it when it's ready. So it's a really interesting story of development. That kind of this was dead. This game, it was actually dead with no resource to retool, and then Raw Fury stepped in and have seemingly given them scope to reboot it again properly.
Was Mick Gordon always involved in the project?
No, he wasn't.
Was that sort of a new reveal?
Yeah, that's a new thing. I suspect that's a thing from your Raw Fury. Having a big publisher like that means that you can get the type of talent that Mick Gordon is. He wasn't attached to it to start with, but now he is, and I think that's awesome. So I hopefully it releases. I can't, I'm ready to float it.
Yeah, and for Xbox fans, it's Game Pass as well. I think they revealed as part of it. I think it's Xbox, PC, and Game Pass. So
Parksy just says, "Why has the robot at the end got teeth like a shark?" Good question. Don't know. It does look bloody scary.
It looks like they look like future. If the Five Nights at Freddy's animatronics stripped back, basically they look like
that's what would be underneath.
Yeah, that's the exoskeleton that would be. They look pretty terrifying.
Excellent. Okay, well, while we're on this theme, let's do this. It would make sense.
Officer Taylor, Medlog 29. Today.
Left you guessing, aren't I?
I don't actually recognize this.
This was Fort Solis, wasn't it?
This is the one with Troy Baker, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Roger Clark. Yeah. Again, I mean, space horror.
I was going to say, has been alluded to. Space horror seems to be flavour of the month.
Space thriller in this case.
Okay.
Slash
yeah.
horror. I thought this was a surprise to me as well. I thought this looked really, really good.
Yeah, I did.
Obviously with the voice acting talent, attached to it as well. I think hopefully, will be a really good story.
We've been there with 12 minutes. I'm not sure that's...
exactly. Yeah. That's what gives me hesitation.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's very well written. Because I think obviously it's very narrative heavy. I think it's UE5 again, which is great. We're seeing so many games now that are in UE5, so that's awesome. It was a big surprise for me. I thought it looked really cool. First announcement of it. I don't know what everybody else thinks, but yeah. Although again, we got Troy Baker and another game. Which is, let's see.
It reminded me of Deliver Us the Moon. There's a few other games that it's kind of similar to, isn't there? Like you say, I think Space Thriller is perhaps a better description. Although when he does get grabbed by whatever that thing is, it does obviously have scope for it to turn into horror, I guess. Scott, is this on your radar, mate?
Yeah, I thought it was a good trailer. I liked the look of it at the time. I think it did a good job of sort of setting the scene. The vehicle at the beginning reminded us of the vehicle from Mass Effect. I think. What's that vehicle called? The Mako or something like that. The Mako. That's it. Yeah. Reminded me of that one. If I saw, I was like, oh, that looks familiar. Obviously, the voice acting talent is, it stands out. That's why they had them on the stage afterwards. But obviously, there wasn't really too much else to go on. There, but I thought it was a good trailer.
Yeah.
But going back to what I said earlier on, as someone who's not really a particularly big fan of that genre, and I don't mean a big fan when I say that, I don't mean I don't like the genre. Just it's not a genre I've played an awful lot of. I just already kind of feel a little bit burnt out on it. So it'll be nice maybe in a couple of months' time when we start learning a bit more to have for it not to just be part of a big space horror segment of a show, just to see it standing on its own 2 feet.
Absolutely. Apologies, I am busy typing because we've had a request come in actually, and it's something I can try and sort out if I can.
Is this the one from Parksy?
Yes. Let me try and get.
So
that
this
on
showed
the
up
screen.
at Future Game Show yesterday.
Bear with me. I've got to do some wizardry behind the scenes. I know you can see some of the. I've lifted the curtain. You can see some of the magic going on behind the scenes. I do apologise. There's no other way around that. But right, let's give this a spin. Now, I actually played Bright Memory, the first one. What was it just called? Bright Memory, wasn't it? When it first launched with the Series X. It was okay. Graphically, it looked as good as the videos sort of allude. I don't know. I wasn't massively enamoured with it, if I'm honest.
Yeah. I think it looks really flashy. I think the issue that I've got with every time I've seen this game is it's almost overwhelming with what's going on. There's almost too much going on in a way. It's kind of like affects vomit in a way, if that makes any sense whatsoever. It's like it's almost like they've thought, right, we can put this effect in, this effect in, this effect in, and then this effect. And it seems like too much is going on. And my fear for it, having not played it, is like it doesn't feel particularly good in any of the aspects, whether it be kind of like the melee sword combat or the shooting. I kind of don't get the feeling that it plays particularly well. You maybe can speak that a bit better though.
Well, no, the shooting feels very arcadey. It was okay, but not anything I've never played before.
I think the problem I have with it is a little bit of a different problem, but maybe you'll see what I mean, which is that aesthetically, it doesn't work for me at all. It's jarring to see, a technologically advanced lead character in a essentially feudal Japan / supernatural world. Like, it just doesn't blend for me. It's a bit like Sonic the new Sonic game,
Yeah.
right? Where
Jarring.
Sonic feels
That's not a
yeah,
comparison I expect to hear today.
yeah, it's the Sonic doesn't feel like he belongs in the world, and obviously that's kind of the part of this game, or kind of the direction. But it feels, and I think this is probably because of the background of the game, it feels like someone's found a bunch of Unreal Engine assets and kind of really polished them to perfection and then chucked them together. And that goes for the particle stuff as well and all the stuff that's going on. So it just doesn't do anything for me, and having played it, it does even less, because it's not as if it's an amazing game to play.
No.
I
could see how the visuals might sucker some in, but I don't think they'd stay long.
Yeah.
I certainly didn't. So.
Yeah, it's very flashy, and I think it's impressive what's being created here, because it does, graphically it is really nice. It's going to have ray tracing as well on PC, and probably have a mode on the consoles for that. So they're doing some cool things there. It's more than
also
one
found
person
that
now, but
yeah, I found that cosmetic bit that was just shown there really jarring in the
Yeah.
the trailer as well, because it was obviously very combat focused and almost serious in a way that like some of the story beats that they tried to present throughout it. I didn't think the voice acting was particularly great either during that bit. But then it's like, oh, here's a girl, and oh, you can put her in a bikini.
Yeah, it's just her rivals.
Oh, here's the polka dot skin for the gun that you've got on your back. That was really jarring in there
Also,
as well.
what kind of name is Shelia? I don't understand that. What did they mean Sheila, but they just got it wrong?
Could be, couldn't it? Could be.
I was just like, that's a horrific protagonist name.
Right. Okay, Doug. Well, we've got a few more. If you guys are okay for us to carry on.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
Okay.
enjoying it. It's nice to be able to look back at them
exactly.
like this. I think Flab actually, because as we said a few times, so yesterday or Summer Games Fest, there was like 40 games. Guerrilla Collective, I think there was 60 games in like 2 hours. The Future Game Show yesterday, I think there was like 40 games or something. Like it's really easy to just forget.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
not necessarily just forget the game was shown, but what they actually showed of the game when you've got so much in such a short period of time. So it's nice to be able to reflect like this, I think.
Yeah, no, exactly. And we've kind of handpicked the best ones from each. So let's give this a go. Well, forget the video we've just done. The previous theme. Let's round off this theme if we can.
Yes, the Alien game.
Yes.
Okay. This is a real low light, very early in the show.
It was
for me.
early on, wasn't it? Yeah.
I'm
done.
This
I
is
don't
like
know
the second trailer.
I don't know about you guys. I am
Yeah.
done with Alien and Aliens. I'm done with that as a franchise, if I'm honest.
So, I love Aliens. Absolutely, I'm a massive fan of the franchise. So I'm always happy to see more Aliens games. But the problem is that they are so mixed in terms of quality that it's kind of hard to get excited about any one game. And the best game that they've ever made is obviously Alien Isolation. And I think all Aliens game fans just want another one of those games. That's what people want.
Just make it already.
Obviously it didn't do well enough for Sega to warrant that. Fine, but they're so mixed in terms of quality, and this one just, I remember my wife was watching it and she was like, this looks really bad, and what she meant was the CG on this trailer alone looks really kind of weird, the facial animation on the CG, and then when they cut to the gameplay at the end, and it's sort of this isometric, I don't even know what it is in terms of the game, but it's like an isometric game. It just doesn't look, I don't think that really fits Aliens. It depends on how they do it. If it plays a bit like Diablo, then maybe that could work, at least in terms of the moment-to-moment action without the loot stuff. but yeah, it just didn't look good. Really.
Can you try and pause it on the gameplay bit, Flap? Sorry to interrupt. When it comes up, try to pause it because it's that quick. Like
gonna
if
say,
you blink, you'll miss it.
Blink and miss it. Yeah.
If I can capture the frame that it happens in, yeah.
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 But I think, Luke, what you were saying and what Laura was saying kind of is similar to what I was saying earlier about the show as a whole. Like, some of the content just wasn't great. This really didn't stand out as a good CG trailer. Like, CG is fine, I think, announcing the game, but it's got to kind of be good. And I think, like I said, the Stormgate game had basically exactly the same issue, is it just wasn't a good trailer. And then when you saw the little bits of gameplay, you didn't get any sense that it was going to be this type of game from the trailer. You know, if that makes sense. It was a little that transition was a little jarring.
But surely the whole point of a space thriller, and particularly Alien, out of all of them, is being up close and personal and having that thing 1 foot away from you, and not a top-down isolation. Do you know what I mean? It's just, how is this going to invoke fear into anyone? It's just not, is it? And that's the whole point of the Alien franchise, isn't it? Surely.
Yeah, I think that's where that's where it's a bit annoying with the games that people are making, because you have this kind of basically. I mean, anybody who's watched the films knows this, but the original Alien was an out and out horror film, right? And it was pretty terrifying for that reason. I mean,
absolutely.
lesser now, but it's still quite unnerving. And then Aliens was a fantastic action film, like a really amazing action film. And the games seem to either want to take the Aliens approach, the sequel, or the original. Alien Isolation was very much, we're going to make this a horror like Alien. This game, I don't know where it's clearly drawing from Aliens, but anything with the kind of colonial marine stuff in it, or marine alien stuff, is I don't know if it really works. I think what was the Fireteam Elite? Was that the?
Yeah, I really didn't like that game.
Yeah,
personally,
It was okay. I think that's been the
best. That's fair.
Kind of,
yeah.
That's been the best interpretation of Aliens, the sequel that I've seen. They try to nail that feeling, but I think the franchise is just a lot scarier when there's only one xenomorph, or there's not many enemies and they're really intimidating and you are hopelessly outmatched by them. Not when you just, a xenomorph can be shot in the head within like a second and then you move on to the next one.
Yeah, it was just kind of like Back for Blood, but with an alien skin. In a way, I didn't really get, an alien vibe from it, other than obviously the design of the enemies. It's like you say, you pop these xenomorphs, one bullet and they were pretty much dead, and some of the smaller enemies, and there was hundreds of them. But it didn't give the sense. It just didn't feel like Alien. It just felt like a horde mode game with an alien skin. So I think saying it's okay is fair, but I played it for maybe a couple of hours and then I was like, well,
same.
No, it's not grabbing me, so I dropped it. I dropped it fairly quickly, So
yeah. Okay. Well, let's drop this one because, like you say, I don't think that's really on anyone's. High up on many people's wish list, so let's go.
And that's not Jeff's fault. We should say like Jeff can only work with the content he's given, and I think I think it's funny because if Jeff got like Resident Evil 4 remake and the Street Fighter 6 revealed, the stuff that Sony kind of nabbed for themselves for that state of play, I think it would have been a lot different. But I think the thing he's wrestling with is he's competing with the people who he's trying to promote in a way that E3 never was. E3 was never competing with them. They were providing a time, place, for these publishing developers to actually showcase. But, I think we said, or at least I remember saying it during the prediction show, I thought Xbox would throw Keighley a bone. Yeah. But, in hindsight, why would they throw him a bone when their showcase is just a few days away, Obviously Sony did. But like he's almost competing. Like if Nintendo have their show next week, which is rumored, Sony had their own state of play. Like all that's doing is taking away from the potential things that he can show, which will lead to things like this. I think, unfortunately for Jeff.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's like you say, it's yeah. With Xbox going tonight, like you say, it was so close because obviously there was Sony aren't officially kind of there isn't their state of plays seem to be a bit sort of last minute and sporadic, or at least telling us about it kind of last minute and stuff. Because obviously this has been set in the diary for quite a long time, isn't it? It's like you say, I think it's the cornerstone of the whole Summer Games Fest for me personally, and I think lots of gamers as well in lots of ways. But let's try this one. And it's something you put on my radar first off, Scott. It's really not my kind of game in all honesty, but it did show up.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I didn't recognize it first. This is Soul Hackers 2,
It is.
which is an Atlas game on Xbox for a start. Which
Imagine.
I think that in itself is a surprise. It's part of the Shin Megami Tensei universe, I believe. The original game was actually a 3DS game, which I played recently. And I think, really, from my perspective, it's just nice to see a JRPG on Xbox. This vibe, this aesthetic isn't going to be for everyone, but I really like what I've seen, and it's not too far away, and I'm looking forward to playing it. And hopefully, if it does well enough, it might lead to more Atlas games come to Xbox in the future.
Could be a foot in the door, couldn't it? Luke, is this? I mean, this really isn't my type of game by the looks of it. Is this something that's on your radar?
It's no, I wouldn't say it is. I mean, my interaction with Atlas, I guess, is solely limited to Persona, which I do tend to enjoy. But even Shin Megami Tensei, I played one of them back in the day, and then as Scott said, it's sort of a spin-off series, so doesn't particularly interest me. Obviously, I'll see how it turns out. But as Scott said, it's maybe just a gateway into Atlas doing more and potentially bringing Persona to the Xbox at some point in some form, which would be cool for people.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, okay, doke. We've got a few left, just a few. Let's go with. Let's go with this one. We've got 3 left by the looks of it. Let's go with this.
I'm trying to think what ones we've got left.
Now, I quite like these
Quarry.
games. Yeah, I quite like these games.
This looks actually really good. I've seen some gameplay clips of this.
Well, it's already
and
released, it came out.
Yeah, it came out Friday, didn't it?
Oh, is this the Quarry?
Yes.
Okay.
It looks amazing visually, this game, in gameplay. It looks, cutscenes, obviously look great as well. It's all real time, but it's really impressive. Like, it's unbelievably impressive, which isn't surprising because I think Supermassive have, made some, impressive looking games before. And this is just basically Until Dawn 2. But it's come out to strong reception, I think, from players and critics as well. So I'm actually quite interested in it. I really like these kind of games from time to time.
Is the main character an actor in real life?
It's got a load of big actors in it. It's got David Arquette, who is
I think that's
saw. Yeah,
I think that's who I could see. Yeah, I was gonna say I was like, he looks bloody familiar.
Yeah.
Is he the cop from Scream?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's right. So, this is getting a lot. This only came on my radar this past week when people started playing it and the preview started coming out. But yeah, people are really raving about this as well.
Yeah.
Have you never played any of the Dark Pictures anthologies or anything like that?
I started playing. Was it Man of Medan?
Yes, that's a great one.
Yeah,
I
started.
Yeah.
What was the other one? It didn't quite grab me. I didn't end up finishing it, unfortunately.
You guys don't do Kumbaya anymore?
Did you? I'm guessing you haven't played Until Dawn.
No, I haven't.
No, I might have to download this and give this a go because I do love those sort of games. And like you say, Luke, visually looks fantastic, but it's all acted very well and graphically it's phenomenal. So, yeah, No, this one's pretty much on my radar. So excellent. Okay, doke. Couple left. Let's finish on some high notes. So let's go with this one next. This came out of last night's.
Oh yeah, this looked pretty good. Kind of like basically a Portal type game in a way. Well, I guess you kind of got a gun. Something that's very loosely Portal, I guess.
Yeah. It's kind of environment manipulation and stuff, I guess.
Yeah. And also just kind of like the way the AI is talking to you as well, and you've got a cube. Yeah, I thought this looked good actually. It was one of the, I think from last night's show, just looking through my notes, there was like 5 things that I highlighted, this being one of them.
Thanks, Astra.
Yeah, I'm quite excited for this. This is my kind of game.
Solve puzzle. Brain hurts.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of puzzle games.
Then rewind Earth. Exactly.
Where are you on this one, Luke?
I don't know. I absolutely love the 2 Portal games, and tend to like puzzle games like this. But I can't quite put my finger on it. But it just didn't click with me, and I honestly can't explain why. Okay. I'm definitely willing to see how it turns out, I think. But yeah, I don't know. It just kind of made me really just want Portal 3 rather than this. You know what I mean? Like, it was just sort of like, yeah, well, this looks cool. It's a bit Portal-like, but just Valve, come on, just make Portal 3.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the kind of feeling I got from it. Valve's fresh in the memory at the minute because I played Aperture Death's Job on the Steam Deck, and it's just so brilliant in the way that Valve games are just so kooky and weird and brilliant, and it's just made me want another Portal. So I'll see how this turns out, this one, but it looks quite polished already, I thought, so that was quite cool.
It's quite strange, isn't it? I mean, there's lots of trailers and stuff for games that I've seen that I've felt very impartial to, just, not particularly. But and when you actually play them, it's like, oh, this is actually a lot of fun, and sometimes that just can't be conveyed in the trailer, I guess. But
exactly, yeah.
So coming this year. So no surprise there, coming to all platforms, well, other than Switch by the looks of it. But so let's end on this one, shall we? I wonder if you guys can guess what this might be. Came out of last night's show, actually, so that's probably a little bit of a giveaway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this was Luke's highlight from last night.
Yes. Yeah, this looks brilliant for me.
So this is called The Last Faith.
Yes.
Coming on all platforms.
Yeah. This was the game that really stood out for me last night. It's basically 2D Bloodborne Castlevania. Combat looks really cool. It's got these super awesome animations, I think.
Yeah, the animations really stand out.
You said about the gun one, weren't you?
Yeah, just it was funny because I said earlier about Fire Witch, how I really like the revolver animation. There's just something really cool about the revolver animation from that game, and then just his stance when he pulls the trigger with the gun on this. It just looks really good. Yeah.
Reminds me of how Nero holds the revolver in DMC5. That kind of really cool look, and it just looked really good. I thought, the kind of eldritch Bloodborne type designs are super cool, coming to everything. I wish listed this very quickly on Steam, so hopefully it turns out well, but it certainly looks awesome.
It's annoying though.
This year as well, wasn't it?
The Last Faith. I haven't got a date for this yet. I did look it up.
I think it's.
So if someone can do
I
that,
think
in
they
the
said
meantime.
this year, didn't they?
Did they? Oh, okay.
Or,
Oh, hang on,
yeah.
it's just about to fade in, but yeah, look. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stopped it on the wrong frame. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, this year as well. I mean, to be honest though, Luke, it's frustrating, isn't it? Because it does make you ask that question. It's like, well, when's the next Bloodborne game coming then? Do you know what I mean? It's just kind of we've got these little games kind of filling in these gaps sometimes, but yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well,
we can dream. Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. And like you say, that kind of came out of yesterday's show. Yeah, fantastic. Well, that kind of rounds up everything that we'd had downloaded, to be honest. And like I say, we have cherry picked lots of games over the last few showcases, and I hope you've enjoyed us going through them. And like you say, Scott, it's nice to take these at our leisure, isn't it? And stop and pause and go back and have the conversation around them as well, because it does take a while to digest these. And I've got to be honest, we are, anyone listening, please tune into Box and Burgers channel later today. I believe it's going to go about 7:35-ish UK time. So almost directly after the Xbox showcase. But we're going to have to take in a lot of information as we watch that, because we're going to watch the Xbox showcase live and then straight into a podcast sort of commentating on it. And it does it. You have to find your feet sometimes, don't you? And sort of, watch it again.
Got my notepad ready.
Yeah. So, no, that's fantastic. Well, like I say, anyone wanting to tune into that, it was on Box and Burgers channel, like I say, around 7:35 UK time. That's 8:35 Central European summertime, or what would that be, Eastern? That would be
2:35.
2:35, yeah, 2:35 and 11:35 Pacific. So definitely tune into that. It'll be Scott, Luke, and myself. But so before we close out the show, any last sort of requests for the Xbox Game Showcase then? What's the one thing that you absolutely are desperate to see when you're there? We'll go with you first, Luke, and chat. Let us know the one thing that you want out of today's Xbox Showcase.
Oh, the one thing. I mean, before we seen any rumors or anything, hinting at what might be there, I think my one thing would have been Fable. In terms of some sort of gameplay footage, doesn't seem like we're going to get that. So I think my one thing would probably be Kojima. Funnily enough,
okay.
I think I'd really want to see what he's working on. If this is the rumored cloud game or not, just to see him there and see some footage, see a trailer would be amazing. And so that's my one thing.
Okay. I'm just trying to think what mine is. I've asked the question. I don't even know what mine is.
It's hard, isn't it?
It is. It is hard. Go on. Yeah, I think I've got mine, actually. Go on, Scott.
Yeah, I'm actually with Luke about Fable. That is kind of like it is literally the most anticipated thing that Xbox have got going. That in my mind. So, but I also agree. I don't think we're going to see it here today, and obviously some of the rumors are pointing towards that anyway. So it won't be a surprise if it doesn't show. So outside of that, this is very unlikely as well. But Luke might kill me for saying this because it's a Ubisoft game. I would love to see Splinter Cell show up.
Oh, no, that's
yeah, because I doubt it will, but obviously we've got nothing from Ubisoft or EA, so I expect both of them to play some part of the show. So if I can cheat and have a third one, because like I say, both of those I don't think are likely. I'm really looking forward to seeing Avowed. I think that's gonna show up, and hopefully they've got some nice gameplay of it, and hopefully it looks good. But I think just overall we're going to be in for an excellent show. I think not to get my hopes up too much, but I do think it's going to be a good show.
Yeah, no, me too. To be honest, Avowed is my one. I think that's more realistic. I think we are likely to see that at the show, and I'm going to jump on your coattails on this one, Scott. I'm going to go for a 2022 release for Avowed. That would be fantastic. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm not.
No, I think that's wishful thinking. But
yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. But That's what I would love out of today's show. But to be honest, if that doesn't happen, I'm certainly not going to be disappointed, that's for sure. And to be honest, I've been overlooking Starfield quite a lot lately because there's just so much other stuff. And I don't know, in my psyche, because Starfield's been delayed, in my mind, it's kind of like, okay, well, I won't get excited about that just yet. Then I'll get excited about everything else. But of course, it's still coming, and it might not be that delayed. I mean, it might be coming February. We don't know. I guess that's unlikely potentially, but not completely out of the question. So it's going to be a fantastic showcase, like you say. This today is kind of the highlight of the whole Summer Games Fest, and obviously, in E3's absence, this is the one for me that I'm really excited for. Got a few in the chat. I think UK Dazarus wants Forza Motorsport 8 to be released this year, not next, but also Fable. Same for Darren, Forza Motorsport release date. A Mandalorian game from Parksy. UK Dazarus wants Sega Rally 3, I'm guessing that would be, or an Outrun remake. Good luck with that. I don't think that's going to happen. But Pyro M wants updates for Halo Infinite. That should be obviously fairly doable. And Forza Horizon 5, I'm guessing he means DLC for that. And again, there's already some rumours and stuff on there. Please, if you do want the show to be a surprise, just try and go as dark on the socials as you can. And even YouTube, I've seen some YouTubers put in things in the titles of videos, and these might be people you're subscribed to. So just be very careful if you want to avoid any spoilers and any surprises. But GPG Crew, thank you very much for being here. Sadly, no Pucks today. He is abroad, but he has assured us that he will be tuning in and watching the Xbox Bethesda showcase live later. He won't be with us for Box and Burgers show later, but it will be myself, Luke, and Scott. Chat, thank you very much. It's been fantastic. I hope you've enjoyed today. I think Pyro M alluded that we might do this next week, perhaps using all of the VODs from the Xbox showcase today. So yeah, perhaps we could do that. Could be one for Thursday's show potentially. So that's something we can do. Yes. Well, hopefully, you have a great day. I hope the Xbox Bethesda showcase brings you everything that you wish for. And more, and some surprises in there. GPG Crew, thank you very much for being here. I really do appreciate that, guys. Like I say, chat, you've been fantastic. And we will see you later on today, 7:35 UK time, directly after the Xbox Bethesda showcase. Thank you for being here, everyone. I've had a great time, great going through this, and we'll speak to you later.